Welcome back, everybody, to Module 3 of our beginning painting class. In this module we're going to do some color exercises. We're going to play with color, learn a little bit about the qualities of color and how colors interact with each other. There'll be 3 short videos. The first one will go over the color wheel, which some of you might have learned in kindergarten, 2nd or 3rd grade, but again, this is a beginning painting class. Then we're going to go into complementary colors and saturation, brightness, and then we'll do a final video on tints and shades. So for the first video, let's take a look at what we have down here and what kind of supplies we need. We have our watercolor block. Now, a watercolor block, for those of you who have never seen one, is basically watercolor paper that is sealed together around the edge, so that when we paint on it, as the paint dries, the paper stretches out and it doesn't wrinkle. If you have paper and you get it all wet, it tends to wrinkle, so the block prevents that from happening. So that's our watercolor block. We have our 3 primary colors, and we'll talk about that as I paint. Over here we have our palette, which is what we're going to use to mix the paints. A simple, about a 1/2 inch brush, a little bit stiff, not too soft. A couple of plastic containers of water, one for cleaning your brush off quickly, and then another one to make sure that it's completely clean. That way when we mix colors, we don't get them contaminated, we keep them pure. And some paper towels, which we use to wipe our brush in between. Alright, in the first video we're going to talk about the primary colors, secondary colors, and tertiary colors. And we're going to actually paint on our watercolor block our own color wheel. This is the very basis of painting, is to understand, to learn how to mix colors and how different colors interact with each other. So as we do this, as we put our paints down, I want you to pay attention to how the paints go down, which are more transparent, which are more opaque, how the colors mix. Some colors require more of one color than another to get what you're looking for. So we're going to start with our 3 primary colors, blue, yellow, and red. They're called primary colors because they exist by themselves. You cannot mix 2 other colors to get blue or yellow or red. There's no colors to mix to get them. And yet you can take these 3 colors and mix them to form any other color in the spectrum. So I don't know why that is. I don't know who set that up in the first place, but they're primary colors, and that's just one of the laws of painting. All right. Maybe on another planet they have different primary colors. I don't know, but it would be fun to go traveling and find out. So I'm going to take a little bit of blue paint, and I'm going to put some dab of blue paint on my palette here. I'm going to take a little bit of yellow and put it over here, and a little bit of red. Like so. And the first thing I'm going to do is basically very, very simple. On the color wheel, I'm just going to take a little bit of paint, and I'm going to fill in the circle. And you don't have to worry about going over the lines. We're not concerned with that. If that's something that concerns you and you need to keep it in there, by all means do that. So I'm just going to paint some blue. Clean off my brush. Then I'm going to paint some yellow. Now, something you might want to notice right away, you can see that the blue paint covers more completely than the yellow. Yellow tends to be a very, very transparent color. And as we mix, you'll learn some other things about yellow as well. Clean off my brush. And then take a little bit of red paint and fill in the red circle. Very nice. So those are the 3 primary colors. Now if you'll notice on the color wheel, what's between, equidistant between the primary colors are what's called the secondary colors. So when I mix yellow and blue, as most of you probably know, you're going to get green. So I'm going to take a little bit of yellow paint, put it over here, a little bit of blue, and mix them together. And you get a green. Now, I want you to notice on this mixing, this is a pretty dark green. And the reason it's a dark green is because blue is much stronger than yellow. So I actually, if I want a medium green, then what I would need to do is use more yellow and just a tiny little bit of blue. So let's take a little bit more yellow, mix that up to get a nicer green. All right, so that gives me green, and I will fill in the green space over here. Very nice. And when I mix yellow and red, I'm going to get orange. So what I learned from the blue mixing with the yellow, that the yellow is affected very strongly. So I only needed a little bit of blue and a lot of yellow to get the green. Similarly with the red and the yellow, I would need only a little bit of red and a little bit more yellow. You can see how strong the red is and basically how weak the yellow is. And we get orange. Like so. Finally, the last secondary color is a mixture of blue and red, and that's going to be violet. Violet's always been kind of a tricky color to get. Let's see what we can do over here. Tends to be kind of muddy and stuff. One of the reasons that commercial painting companies sell you purple paint is because the mixture of blue and red to get a violet is a little bit tricky and doesn't always work out so well. But let's see. That's pretty dark. Okay, you can see that the original purple that I mixed up is a little too much on the blue side. So we mixed up another batch here. We're using a little bit more red and a little less blue. It gives you a little bit more of a purple color. And we'll paint that next to it and you can see the difference and stuff. Let's see if we can go over the top stuff. There. So you can see it. A little more reddish purple, a little more bluish purple. And like I said, purple is a difficult color to manage. All right, so that takes care of our secondary colors. Now the tertiary colors are basically a mixture of a primary color and a secondary color. So if I take some blue and I take some violet and mix them together, we get blue-violet. And it's basically a violet, a little bit more on the blue side. So if I take this violet color that I already have and add a little bit more blue, mix it up, and paint it on there, we'll get a blue violet, which is a little bit like my original violet. So we go to red violet, so I'll take a little red, a little more red. Let's take a bit of red here. And mix it over here. And we'll get more of a reddish violet, a little closer to a crimson color. Now when you name the tertiary colors, you always name the primary color first. So it's red violet or blue violet. You never go violet blue or violet red. I'm not sure why that is. It's another one of those laws. Maybe the primary colors get uptight if they're put in second place or something. Maybe it's an ego kind of thing. I'm not sure. Okay, so we're going to take some of our yellow and mix it with our orange. Okay, yellow-orange. Paint that in there. And then we're going to take some more red and mix that with our orange. And we'll have a red-orange. So it's blue or yellow one. Like so. And then finally we're going to go over to the blue, yellow, green part of the color wheel. And let's take some of our green and mix in a little bit of blue. And we have a nice blue-green. And then let's take a little bit of yellow and add it to our green. And that gives us a yellow or green, yellow-green. So that's your basic color wheel. That gives us some understanding of the primary colors, secondary colors, and tertiary colors. So I want you to do your template and you mix the colors and you actually make your own color wheel and kind of get a little bit more accustomed to how these paints work together. All right, and then we'll go on to our second video for this module.